Hi, George.
Hi, George.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
It is wine day.
Wine
Cheers
Wednesday.
to you, friend.
Ooh, that was a good cheers.
That was a good cheers.
And we're drinking Sauvignon Blanc, which is my favorite.
Yes.
Pa Road.
It's called Paw Road, like a dog?
Yeah.
It's not like a dog.
Pa, what do you mean, like a dog?
Like P-A-W.
Oh, Pa. Pa Road. I thought you meant there's like some like famous dog or famous
Like it's
movie.
like Abbey Road for dogs?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I see where you're going.
No, my mind is always on Paw Patrol because that's all that happens in my household.
We did also today just have a Paw Patrol birthday. Not my birthday.
It was
party.
yours. Just admit that you wanted a Paw Patrol birthday
It was
party.
for your daughter.
I know. So today we celebrated my daughter's 5th birthday party, Paw Patrol themed, because we were being responsible humans and quarantining from each other temporarily. But you also had a birthday in there. So today we celebrated my daughter's 5th birthday in the morning, and then this afternoon we are celebrating Caroline's birthday. So lots of birthday festivities here today. But thanks for joining us. Hope you have either poured yourself a glass of wine or you know, just do what makes you happy.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
But welcome to the Whining Moms podcast. If you haven't yet, please look us up on Instagram and give us a follow over there. We are promised to provide many stories to entertain you throughout your day as well, including from our photo shoot that we just did today.
We had an impromptu
Loose
photo
term.
shoot in somebody else's neighborhood.
We just drove around until we found some pretty trees, and it was all good. Which brings me to, we're going to start out our wines and wins with the fact that my wine for today is I've gotten bit by so many bugs today.
So, okay, let me
You
set the
made me
stage.
step in an anthill.
Well, okay, so let me set the stage.
You
So we went to
placed
go
me
take
on
photos
it.
in the wilderness.
In the wilderness.
In the wilderness, I mean like in some trees and flowers
There's
in
some
different
bears in the
neighborhoods.
background.
And Jocelyn has all of these injuries that have occurred today, and I have nothing. I'm fine. So
I know. Well, first I cut my finger trying to make a cake, and
it's a
at
Paw Patrol injury.
some point, yeah, it was a Paw Patrol related injury. But no, I don't even know what happened to my arm while we were taking pictures at the first set of trees. But
Did
I
you
got
get stung by a bee, maybe?
I don't think so.
I mean, I don't see anything, but it
I know it's looking better now. It was
hurts.
really itchy before, but it kind of like welted up, but now it's gone. So I don't know. That's probably some kind of run of the mill bug,
run
Not-
of the mill bug.
like an ant or like a tiny spider.
I mean,
I mean, not like a scorpion or a bee. Like that would
Yeah.
be intense.
yeah.
Have you ever got bit by a scorpion?
No,
Stung?
no.
Bit? Stung?
Bit, stung?
Stung.
Stung.
They sting you. I haven't either. Knock on wood.
No, I'm
We need to get
terrified.
we need to get like just a piece of wood to have in here. We see a lot of things that could jinx us.
Right, you're leaning on some.
No,
Or is that
it's not
composite
real
board?
wood. It's not real wood.
Well, the baseboards are wood. Anyway,
Okay.
she's knocking on wood.
The
That's out in the
base
universe
boards are
now.
wood. So yeah, but then like we were trying to take pictures next to some beautiful Buddha bushes. Buddha
Bogies.
Bogies.
I call them bogies because is it bougainvillea or bougainvillea?
I think that sounds close.
Bougainvillea? Bogies.
I don't know, but they were taking some pretty pictures, and then I looked down, and I was standing in not one but 2 anthills. 2.
Like, let me, again.
And they were swarming. There was like hundreds of them.
these were not just like ant hills. These were like ant mountains, like Ant Everest.
They were.
And there was multiple of them.
Ant Everest. There were multiple, and I was standing on them, and I angered them, and so they started eating my feet.
And she
It
was
was
wearing
really
jeans
bad.
for the first time in,
I know,
since
and
March.
I
And
feel
they're
like
in
like,
her
in
jeans.
there. It was really bad. I mean, but like, again, I feel like my feet are looking okay now. But that's my wine for the day, is all of the bugs in the universe are trying to eat me.
Well, I feel like you took one for the team.
I did. Our pictures are cute.
Yeah, it was really great.
So remember that when you see them on our Instagram.
Right, like we look happy. Jocelyn's dying, and I'm drinking wine in the background. So there's that.
I know. Do you have a wine or a win today, George?
I do. I mean, I think the win overall is that we had our little birthday celebration. It's great to see you guys, and Jocelyn and I had one of our days where we were laughing so hard we were crying, which is,
Yes.
you know, does happen from time to time.
No, it was so good.
It was good. It was like good for my soul. But I have sort of another wine because pandemic, working from
I feel
home.
like wines are funnier.
Well, this one is like one for the books.
Is it not funny?
Well, it's not funny for me.
Is that-
Probably funny for everybody
Bad?
else.
Okay.
So, you know, I work from home, and I have a job where I conduct meetings virtually with lots of important people regularly. And my toddler also is staying home with us because of the pandemic, full time. And she recently discovered my husband had gotten me a subscription a while back as a gift to the FabFitFun box, where they send you all these random goodies.
Okay.
Like self-care goodies. So one of the items is this Foreo face washer.
Mm-hmm.
It is neon pink and silicone, and it's round. It has these like little nubbies on it. And it vibrates because it's supposed to open your pores and whatever. I always felt a little weird about it because it like vibrates, and it's like this weird thing that I just like have around. And I feel like Ryan, my husband, or like just random people that would be in my house would be like, oh, what
like
is
you have
this?
A vibrator
yeah,
around?
like think it's like, you know, an adult toy just hanging around. Claire discovered this in the cabinet, my daughter, my toddler, and I had to have...
In the, like, what cabinet?
Like my bathroom cabinet. It was like in with like my face washing stuff, just like overflow, like self-care stuff in the cabinet in my bathroom. And she found it, and it kept her busy for like 20 minutes. And she was like, this is my special rock. And I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And I forgot about it, right? And of course, toddler, you know, she brings it downstairs with us. She's playing with it, whatever. No harm, no foul. Well, I'm on a conference call that's an impromptu conference call. Normally, either my husband has her or I have her like set up with something to watch. And of course, I have to have this call with this woman who insists on video.
Well, yeah, because you usually decline video.
Yeah, I usually decline video because of the toddler situation. And just, you know, I'm in my home. I feel funny about that.
Mm-hmm.
And Claire, all of a sudden, like, she's playing behind me. She's playing so quietly, and she's like playing on the love seat that's behind me in the video. And then I see the bright pink behind me, right over my shoulder in the video.
No.
And then she turns on the vibration.
Oh no!
And it's going bzzz, like really awkwardly loud because she put it on top of like something hard, and so it was like magnifying the sound. And I'm now telling somebody about, you know, things related to our business and you know, our upcoming partnership, while there's this like vibrating thing in the background. So I'm like, hold please, and I have to like turn off my camera, turn off my audio. And I thought I turned off the camera. I did turn off the audio, but they see me then trying to wrestle this vibrating thing for my toddler. And I come back and I'm like, okay, sorry about that. And I realized my camera had been on the whole time as I'm wrestling this pink, you know, object that nobody knows what it is.
Yeah.
And then I have to get back on and be like, oh, she found my face wash thing. And like, I'm so flustered and embarrassed.
Well, and you sounded like you're lying. Cause
right.
You're like, it's my face washer.
Like, if I had seen this thing and so like, if I saw this in your bathroom and you were like, oh, it's for your face, like, I would be like, okay. Like, that's how this thing looks and sounds. And I'd be like, sure, face wash, yeah?
Sure.
And I mean, you can look it up. Foreo, it's a thing. And I made sure to say the brand and all the things just in case.
Because you're being, like, overly specific. You're, like, you're, like, showing them. Like,
I'm
look,
like, FabFitFun box. It came in here. Like, FabFitFun sponsor us because I've earned it at this point. But, yeah, so I was mortified. And Claire goes, ooh, it's buzzing.
No.
And she just... and she's like rubbing it on her stuffed animal. I'm like, oh god. And
oh my god, did anyone say anything?
I mean, they were really, really polite. I got a couple eye rolls and I got a couple like giggles, and I was like, oh, all right.
Like, moving on.
Yeah, and I mean, it was like a 1 minute incident, but that 1 minute was the longest minute of my life.
Eternity.
And the fact that I didn't actually turn off the camera when I thought the camera was off.
I know.
It was great. So I mean, it's a little bit of a whine, but
a little bit. Well, because we don't want people, like, and just that whole, like, just you're parenting and, like, you're trying to have a professional meeting.
Yeah.
All of that is a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it was, like, now I can laugh at it, and it was funny. But in that moment, I was like, what is happening?
Oh, my God.
And you can't
do so many things when you guys are on trying to do meetings, too.
Yeah. But, I mean, that tops the things that have happened. Like, since quarantine started, I feel like every podcast I'm talking about Claire vomiting, but she got the stomach flu the very first day of quarantine, and it was like straight up stomach bug, and I was holding a bowl for her to puke in while I was on a call because I had to have the meeting.
Yeah.
So thank God for mute. There's been a lot of weird things that have happened during meetings so far.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well. Being eaten alive by bugs, child playing with questionable things while on camera for work.
We're really crushing it.
We're doing great this week. Okay, so moving on from our fun wines from today, we want to get into our more serious topic. I don't know why I always have to say it that way. We're getting real serious. getting real serious here. So what I would like to talk about today is the overgendering of our children that tends to happen in our culture. Like it's a lot.
Yeah. Like when you had a son is when you sort of pointed out all of the things that popped up as like big red flags as it relates to that topic.
Yeah, because I feel like I noticed it a little bit with my daughter, to a certain extent, but since I've had a son, I feel like it's just amplified by like tenfold because people have such strong expectations of what a little boy should like, what they should wear, how they should act, the things that are tolerable because it's a boy versus if it's a girl. Like the whole like boys will be boys mentality is just infuriating to me.
Yeah, I hate that.
It's like it's not like that's such a problem for how we're raising our children in our culture. Like it's not okay. It's not an okay way to be. Like they should be just as responsible for their behavior as girls should, and also they shouldn't it shouldn't be this expectation that like there's only certain things that boys can like or are allowed to do, and that like this we're kind of teaching this like being sensitive or liking quote unquote girl things is not okay. So I've really noticed it just like in either the parenting advice I've been given or like just comments that people make about the way that we're doing things in our house. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that today, and I know I kind of bring it to your attention a lot, but I guess before I dive into all my soapbox theories on all this, like where are you at on this topic? Like how much do you like notice it in your life, because you have your daughter, so you haven't had the boy get brought into the scenario yet, which was, like I said, the kind of jarring moment for me of noticing it.
Well, and I think too, what sticks out to me is that we're in a time that is so progressive and everyone's talking about what's really like thinking outside of the box and not making assumptions about people based on stereotypes and those sorts of things. So the fact that we're like over gendering little children, and like when you kind of brought that to me, it kind of reminded me of like a couple instances I had with Claire where like when before she was even born, I was pregnant with her, and we had just painted our guest room like dark gray, and then we found out, okay, this is now going to be a nursery. Surprise. And I thought, well, what if we just kept the nursery gray and made it like a twinkle twinkle little star nursery? And somebody in my family said to me, you cannot have a gray dungeon for a baby girl. It has to be something bright and pink and beautiful.
Dungeon,
right? And also I love gray. All the rooms in all of my houses are always painted gray usually, or some form of that. And I remember just thinking like, okay, this is like an initial assumption. This baby isn't even here yet. And it was something that this person felt really, really strongly about.
Yeah. I remember you talking about that a little bit. It's that assumption of like, we're going to know what they like just because they're a girl or because they're a boy.
Right. Or that it's one or the other is not okay.
Yeah.
Or if you're not going to go the girl route, you have to go neutral. You can't go something that would be perceived as masculine. Like if like she was, when I brought up the conversation where it was like, well, what if I, how is that any different than doing like yellow or green? Which would be perfectly appropriate in her mind. And she was like, well, that's neutral. Well, but okay. So just because...
why is gray a boy color?
Right, is gray a boy color? And that was the answer. It was like, gray is more masculine. So I think it's just, that was like my first instance of it. And then when Claire was born, we got a lot of clothes that were like, daddy's little girl and boys better watch out for my dad. And it's like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I remember thinking to myself, okay, A, my daughter is not an object that somebody can like have or get. B, my husband is not going to be violent to somebody who is interested in my daughter. I mean, we're going to teach our daughter, see, she'll have her own self-worth. That's just a crazy thing. And who's to say she's even going to be interested in boys?
Thank you. That's what I was going to say too. It's that assumption that, okay, she's not only going to grow up and be interested in boys, that it's going to be that your husband has to like fight them off because we're raising our boys to be these like masculine, aggressive,
and girls are like a sexual object to men.
Rather than rewinding it and be like, no, let's just treat them as humans instead of there's this set of behaviors that you should have because you're a girl or because you're a boy. Now, you guys found out that she was a girl before she was born. So how do you feel about the whole like gender reveal situation that happens before babies are born?
Yeah, we had a unique situation because, again, I found out I was pregnant a little bit later in the game. And we happened to be with family around a holiday time, and we decided that we would just kind of like let everyone take a guess, and then we would open the envelope. I think that the gender reveal, pink or blue, or like, what is this or what is that? It can get a little dicey because then you're already tying into the things that we are kind of bucking back against right now. And so I'm not a huge fan of the gender. I mean, I think it's kind of a fun guessing game for a family to, you know, think about that, but it always has to have some other side of the coin when you're having those gender reveals, which gets a little weird to me. And then there's also people just like causing wildfires because they're blowing shit up.
They've become so extreme, like the things that people feel they need to do, or that people are disappointed when it's one gender or another or whatever. We were surprised with both of our kids, and kind of the reason
I didn't realize you were surprised with Aria too.
Yeah.
Wow, that's some self-determination to be. I always said I was going to wait, and then the second we had the envelope, we were like, we have to open this immediately.
Yeah, I know. Well, what was it about it that you needed to know ahead of time?
Really, it was more Ryan than me. So I always thought like, oh, we would wait if we ever like had a baby. And then and Ryan had always said the same. And then as soon as I told him I was pregnant and, you know, we got the information, he was like, I need to know. Like he really was hoping for a girl. Mm-hmm. He felt like he would be a better dad to a girl. Like he felt like his skill set was better equipped somehow. I mean, we totally would have been happy either way.
Yeah, of course.
And that should go without saying. But he was really nervous about parenting a boy because he came from one of 3 boys, and it was like a really big handful, and his mom basically was a single mom a lot of the time raising them. So it was more him like feeling anxious and like, let's know now. Yeah. And so that's what kind of led us to that.
Right. Well, because I mean, like it or not, there are just, because of how our culture is set up, considerations on if you're having a girl or a boy. It does kind of feel like it changes things a little bit, but we were surprised for both of ours, and people had like a big issue with it. Like people had a lot of opinions about it.
Did it make it harder? Like, did it make it easier for you to enter into parenting without a gender assumption that way?
I don't know.
Or a gender role assumption, I should say.
That's a good point. That's a good question. I don't know. I just I think that I just was never going to paint a room pink or blue based on what gender the child was, and I didn't really want to have just very specific clothing either way. Like I'm looking at the clothing in the stores, and either it's all like the pink and bows and princesses, or it's the blues and grays for the boys, like you were saying. And then like the gender neutral stuff had like frogs and ducks and like all this stuff. Right. I'm like, oh, this is like, okay, this is good. And so just kind of, I was fine with that, but I know a lot of people had very strong opinions on like wanting to buy the very specific gendered outfits, which they did once they were born. And like, don't get me wrong, I dressed my daughter up in dresses and like everything else, because like, put the little bows in her hair and stuff, because, and like fast forward, like she only exclusively wears dresses now, despite when I try to get her to wear shorts and a t-shirt if we're like going to be climbing trees or something.
That's because it brings her joy, but not because you're saying you should wear this.
Yeah, and I mean it's hard because I feel like there are things that we do that we feel like, okay, this is the way we should dress a girl or should dress a boy, but it trying to be like find a little bit more of a neutral ground for it. But I had people that were really just upset that I didn't know the gender because that didn't work for them when they were having a baby. And I just kind of looked at it as, well, like, it's a fun surprise on the day of. Like, I'm nervous about having birthing a human, and like, at least that'll be like a fun surprise. And like, we got to talk about our names, you know, either way and everything like that. But I just think it gets taken to such a next level in our culture lately. And that's kind of where I feel like, okay, it becomes a little bit of an issue.
Like, I know with Claire, some of the gifts that she got tried to put her into this female role. So like I remember her first birthday and she got tons of princess gifts and princess whatever. And that was one thing that I was really adamant about when I found out I was having a little girl, is that I didn't want her to feel like she had to be a princess or like aspire to be a princess. Right. And so, you know, I remember hearing Rachel Hollis say that she did like a mantra with her daughter every single day. And so then I started doing one with my daughter that was very similar. And every day we talk about how she's brave and she's strong and she's kind to everybody, and she's friends with anybody. And none of the mantra like refers to like her physical beauty or anything that's princess like. But when she receives compliments, it's always like, oh, she's so beautiful, and she's so, which sure, my daughter is beautiful, but she's also smart, and she's also funny, and you know, I want Claire to feel empowered and feel like she is beautiful, but I also want her to feel like her self-worth is not tied up in that. And so I noticed a lot of the gifts were like princess stuff, and a lot of the princess messaging is a lot of the like main like adversity princesses face is like related to not having a prince or being oppressed because she's female. And like that to me was a little bit like, it's not my like jam. So
yeah,
you know, I tried to just be careful about those things.
yeah, and it's one of those things like it's around you no matter how much you try to fight it. But we were just talking about this today, how we all of us, me, you, and our husbands were saying that we like the movie Moana because it's not about like she's not trying. I mean, sure, like Maui has to help her or whatever, but like it's not about her like finding her prince. It's about her getting across the ocean, using her grandmother, who is her like female role model, which we can both heavily relate to with our grandmothers.
We're both so close. We were both so close with our grandmothers.
Yeah. So like it gets me still every time I watch it when like her spirit comes back to her, and I'm like, that's how I feel when I'm like going through hard moments. You like imagine their spirit there, helping you through it. But it was about her journey and that she was determined. And even when, spoiler alert, let's assume we've all seen Moana, but like when Maui like leaves, she's like, no, I'm still gonna keep going, and she like perseveres. So it's like, such a better role model than some of the princesses of past, I guess. But I mean,
and they refer to her as like a chief, like the chief's daughter who will become the chief. Like it's not like this role that is. I mean, the definition of a princess is like the daughter of a king, and it's a weird.
That's true. They
like,
do spend a lot of time
kind of thing that is, you know, sort of tied into the gender issues to start with. Whereas like that's a whole different role model. Yeah, which I'm all about.
Yeah, and I think too, like to the flip side of this, both of our daughters do still like the princesses. I feel like
my daughter lives in a tutu and loves to.
So they do like all the frilly girly stuff, but it's a balance, right? Like it's too much. I feel like there's too much in like these separate camps of this is what girls can do, this is what boys can do, and I feel like we're very much striving to be like, okay, all the frilly and
here's all the things,
and things are great, and here's all the other things you can do too. And like my daughter was literally climbing the tree in our backyard in her super tulle poofy dress the other day, and I was like, yes. You can do all of the things. It doesn't have to be like, oh, don't get your dress dirty. Like, there's a washing machine. It's fine. So, yeah, I noticed it a lot with her, and it's interesting how much you've noticed it with your daughter as well. And I just think, I don't know, it's more, like I said, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I know, too, a lot of people get uncomfortable when we are comfortable with those things. Like, for instance, your son loves Minnie. And
he does love Minnie.
That's been a big thing that people have commented on.
Yes.
And I've witnessed people commented on it, birthday parties and different things. And, you know, and you've shared comments that you've received. And that to me is, first of all, it's silly, I think, personally. You know, and everyone has their own beliefs, but to make him, I can't imagine anybody telling him that he is silly for liking Minnie. So they're putting that on you as a parent, which from a motherhood perspective is a whole nother weight for you to carry unnecessarily.
Why? And I think that's my whole point of kind of the issue that I'm feeling with how strong our culture feels about what each gender should be, because we're stifling our children's personalities, because we're not letting them like the things that they want to like because it's a girl thing, that he shouldn't like it because it's a girl thing. And why is that so bad?
Right.
Like, why can't he not like a girl thing? Quote unquote girl thing.
Yeah.
But it's because he likes the Minnie, and specifically he likes the pink Minnie.
Mm-hmm.
And you pointed out to me, like, maybe it is the Minnie that he likes. Maybe it's that his sister wears pink all the time and he loves her.
Right.
Maybe it's that, like, there's just things about it that make it feel good for him. And your end point was, like, what does it matter? Right. But, like, there's multiple reasons that he might like it. But I've heard he'll be, like, now that it's pandemic time, on FaceTime with somebody, and he'll be snuggling Minnie, and their comment, they'll, like, watch him, and they'll be like, what does he think about Mickey? It's like, okay.
He knows
the other
he
mouse
exists.
that doesn't have a bow in his hair, like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, what does it matter? And just kind of seeing that, like, discomfort, it just kind of hurts my heart, because it's like he's like, you're not seeing the super happy face that he has on right now, and it just makes me sad, because I'm like, why would you even just live in the moment and appreciate that they're feeling happy about that thing. He also likes, they both play dress up, and they both wear capes and run around. They both wear dresses and run around, because they're dressing up and they're imagining, and it's like, okay, if she does it, oh, that's so cute. And then if he does it, the comments are like, oh, he's going to grow up confused. It's like, no, he's going to grow up however he's going to grow up anyways.
Right.
Like, this is not...
Well, and
I'm not putting it on him and, like, forcing him. He walks over to me and goes, here, put this on me.
Right.
And then I put it on him.
And experiences joy in these activities. So why would you stifle that? Like, you shouldn't shrink your children to fit into somebody else's box. And, like, the other part that, like, is really troublesome about that to me is that, like, okay, what happens when he's 13? And it's not mini, but it's that he wants to paint his nails, or he wants to wear a pink shirt or whatever. Like, are those same people going to make him feel judged? And then that's like a call that you have to make as an adult in their life when they're going through adolescence and feeling they're deciding what parts of them they share with the world and what parts of them they're trying to hide. And that's a really dangerous thing, right? We know that, you know, teen, like suicide and all of those things are up. And it's like, it's a lot of weight for a mom and a parent, you know, parents to carry when people are projecting their discomforts on your children.
Right. And it's that external validation that you're seeking. Like, I should be this way because other people think I should be this way, even though I don't want to be that way. I want to like this thing or that thing. Yeah. And one of the comments I received one time was, oh, well, when I like followed up about why liking mini, I don't know if it was the mini thing or whatever it was, is a problem. It's like, oh, well, I don't want someone to like make him feel bad about that someday. And I'm like, well, you're making me feel bad about that. And also, like, my honest response was like, okay, well, then that's not a person that he's going to want to have in his life then, is it?
Right. Because the people should value him for him, just the way he is.
And I think that's kind of probably what it comes down to at its core for me, is like, it's so important for us to teach our kids, and it's so heart-wrenching because we can't control what they're going to see and experience out in the world, but we have to do our best to let them be their authentic selves in our homes, which is like, in this year that we're in right now, like it's crazy because we're only in our home. So it's like, okay, express yourself. You be you. But then you also know they're going to go out and experience these types of people in the world. So then it's like, okay, well, let's make sure we're teaching them it doesn't matter. You're still you, and you still value that internally. You don't need that external validation from people for the thing that you like to also be okay.
Well, and I think, too, we talk a lot about being authentic and, like, how it's important for us. And we've kind of really come to a place in adulthood where being authentic is something that was hard for us to really accomplish because we were always trying to make sure we were checking all the boxes for other people. Like family, and making sure we grew up in a generation where, like, it was, like, you did what your parents said, and, like, they didn't have the same information that we have. Like, and... I actually had a win with my dad the other day, which my dad, for context, is the grumpiest human on the face of the planet. Like, and I say this to him, he agrees with me that that's a fact.
He knows he's content in his grumpiness.
I call him Jeffrey, so if you hear me call him by his first name, it's because he's so serious all of the time that it suits him better than, like, Dad.
It does seem to fit better. Like, I've heard you call him Dad, and I've heard you call him Jeffrey, and I'm like, it fits better.
And I mean, he comes from, like, a military background, and he was in the Navy. His dad was in the Navy. Our whole, like, a lot of the men in our family, we have 2 Navy SEALs. My 2 of my cousins are Navy SEALs, and it was sort of a joke growing up that, like, I was going to be, like, the disappointment because I wasn't going to go into the Navy, like, because I was one of the only, you know, female things. But the Navy just wasn't my jam. But I will say, you know, we were FaceTiming the other day with Claire and my mom and my dad, and Claire was playing with a submarine toy, and my dad was talking to her about the Navy, and he's like, Claire's gonna grow up and be an admiral in the Navy. And, like, the fact that, like, he didn't make it like, oh, women can't go into the military. Like, he was like, he sees her as, like, and he'll make comments like, she could be the president. Like, her name sounds very presidential, like, joking around. But my dad has historically been a pretty set in his ways kind of person.
Yes. And
he, a lot of his stereotypical norms are things that I disagree on, and we've kind of gone toe-to-toe with in the past, or we've gone toe-to-toe about in the past, but, like, hearing him feel like it was totally something that could be, like, he wasn't just saying it. And so that, to me, like, was a gender win, because it's like, here she is, he doesn't think of her as, like, his little princess. It's like, oh, here's my granddaughter, and she can accomplish whatever she wants to.
And I do feel like that generational gap is, like, perhaps helping some of those, like, older generations that may have felt that way, or generations of past, I guess, that it's kind of these stereotypes built up. Yeah, it's like they see their grandchildren, and then it kind of fits in with some of the stuff they're maybe seeing on TV about how we need to be more inclusive and whatnot. Yeah. And then it kind of gels a little bit more, and hopefully has some of those intergenerational moments.
Yeah, and he talks a lot about that too when I talk about my career with him, because I think I remember when I was younger, he wanted to make sure, he was like, oh, I don't want you to go into sales and feel the pressure of sales. Like, he still felt like I was this little girl that, like, he needed to, like, protect from the world, and had this gender thing in mind. And then now it's like, I'm sitting in the same meetings as men, and I'm talking to him about investing and doing all of these things that like he did as an adult male my age. So
yeah,
it shouldn't be any different that I'm,
Yeah.
you know, like a woman. And I think that's really broken down a lot of barriers that he
That's
had
awesome.
related to gender. And he's always, I can see sometimes he's surprised and sometimes he's really excited by it. But it's just interesting to see how families have it so ingrained in them that like there's this view of what they want for their family and how that looks. And we stir the pot a little bit, I think.
Yeah, we do. We do for sure. And I think that's good that we're kind of just challenging like with our own generation. Like I feel like we talk about that a lot of like things that we're doing that are kind of going against the expectations, whether it was gender expectations or whatever the case may be, just to kind of try to break some of those cycles and be your own human. But it passes on to the kids, and that's so important for them to not only see their parents being supportive of just exactly who they are, but like their grandparents as well. And I think kind of like a recap of all of this as we're talking, I think kind of what we're saying as well is that the overgendering gets in the way of our tiny humans, boy, girl, non-binary, that they should be themselves. Like it gets in the way of allowing them to be themselves. That girls,
and that's enough.
Right.
For them to just be themselves.
They should just be themselves. And it's like, it takes away from that like curiosity of just like getting to know your tiny human and just everything that makes them them. And I think creates some of those problems down the line too. If you're like really trying to put them in this little box and that's not the box that fits later on,
right?
It kind of makes things not line up. Which I am not saying that we are doing this perfectly at all, because we are just winging it as we go.
All winging it,
trying to do the best that we can. But like here, like it's more. I think our podcast is more pointing out like here's these issues that we see that we're trying to tackle, and we hope that other people are recognizing them as well and trying to muddle through them as best as they can. But I mean, like, I think there's certain things that we expect our girls to be, like, sensitive and caring and helpers and nurturers, and we expect our boys to be tough and have the big career, or, like, whatever it is that we assign to them. But they both should be all those things. Like,
what are your thoughts on
they all should be sensitive. They both should be tough and brave and strong and caring and helpers and just all of it.
Everybody is responsible for their actions and all of the things. Yeah,
and we'd be a lot better off if we expected the same thing out of everybody.
So what are your thoughts on the boys will be boys?
I can't even.
Like, what do you think that means when somebody says that to you? And they say, like, you have a son, and I can't really speak to it in that way. It's
very permissive of, like, okay, I see this boy doing this thing that's inappropriate, and it's very like, well, boys will be boys. Like, no. Like,
right.
What does that even mean? And I've seen it, like, if a boy is on the playground, he's being really rough or not being kind to somebody else, or
getting really dirty,
or like whatever it is. And like that is like, like, why are you saying boys will be boys to him getting dirty? Because all children can and should be getting themselves dirty on the playground, because again, there's bathtubs and washing machines, like it's
right, and they have sensory needs.
Like, but then I've seen it more in just like the boy is doing something that's a little bit unkind, and it's like, oh, well, you know, that's just boys. Like, that's just what they do. And it's like, wait, what? Like, no,
boys should be gentlemen.
Helping them you should help them be gentle, just like you're trying to help encourage your girls to be. So I've seen it more as like a permissive allowing of behavior that is not treating other humans kind. And I really don't like that, because it sells our boys short. Like, they shouldn't. Like, why are we like not only allowing them but like sort of empowering them to behave a way that's not treating other people kindly? Because that's not what I would do for either one of my children.
Right. And I think too, sometimes you know, we've both read books like the Glennon Doyle book, the Untamed book, where that's an awesome book. If anyone's listening and is looking for a really good read about just empowering yourself and your kids, I think that's a really neat read. And in that book, she speaks about how, you know, if you have to disappoint somebody, disappoint others, not yourself. Yes. And that's something that we really like value with our kids. But also, she talked about like a role her son had when it came to like sports and things, and she was really allowing him to do less of the chores and less of the things because he was involved in sports. And that's something that I think we could easily overlook because there is so many societal norms. So I think
in her anecdote, she realized all of a sudden, like, why am I allowing you to not do these things because of the sports? Like, you should be learning to do the things and the sports.
Right.
Because she said, I might be misquoting her, but I believe when she talked about her daughter, she didn't have the same expectations because her daughter was growing up, I guess, seeing that
Yeah.
the women still got it all done. So,
And it was interesting because it was like about house chores,
yeah.
which are, you know, traditionally thought to be like a female gender role. And it's so interesting now in pandemic thinking about the different roles, because I think so many women are probably, the women that are working are now feeling like they still have to do a lot of the housework and a lot of the work. And it's just such a strange thing. And it's like, if you empower your kids to, you know, take on whatever the role that is best for them and their mental health and those kinds of things, that it empowers them to be a really unique human.
Yeah, I agree.
I know when I met Ryan, I had dated very specific types of guys in the past. I loved a good bad boy.
I was going to say the scary type.
Yeah. I mean, I just, oh God, in our high school, I don't know, that's a whole nother can of worms. But
yeah, let's.
But like, I remember I got to a point in my life where I was like, okay, I'm going to, you know, just date the person that would be good for me as I'm improving myself. And I went on my first date with Ryan, and he was so confident and so just himself, and did not care whether it was cool or whatever. He was just himself, and you know him and how he is. And our second date, he was wearing a purple shirt. But I remember thinking, like, and he just so confidently wore this purple shirt. And then, like, 2 more dates later, he had, like, a pink button-up on. And it was, like, and I just hadn't, it had been a long time. And now, of course, that's, like, widely accepted and whatever. And, you know, as you get into adulthood and those kinds of things, it becomes more normal. But I just remember feeling like he so confidently was himself. And he's so confidently sensitive. Like, he will cry at the same movie that I cry at. And but he is a manly man.
Cousin, like, he's just very content being himself.
Yeah. And I think that's something.
He doesn't have anxiety.
And if you know his brothers too, like, his younger brother is the most himself person. I mean, he is just wildly, I don't even know how to describe it. He just is who he is. He's the most unique human I've ever met. And the fact that they both felt that way led me to believe that, like, they were raised in a way that's like, hey, you be you.
And it's so freeing to be able to be that way.
Yeah. And I think it's really good for both of their relationships, because like, Ryan is 100% himself and solid in who he is. And so I never am like, what's going on with you? Because he just is who he is.
Yeah.
And it's really refreshing. And so, like, the idea that you're raising a son who will be confident and he'll show up in the pink shirt and be like, hey, this is really awesome, also leads me to believe that he will be in touch with the feminine side of things so that he understands what's going on. It's not about him being a girl. It's about,
it's about being a well-rounded human being.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what we're missing out on, is making well-rounded human beings that then, like, later in life have to go figure out the other sides of themselves, because, like it or not, we all have all those sides and facets of ourselves. But if you're a girl and you're being assertive, you're labeled as being
bossy
or
a
like
bitch.
Yes. But then if you're a boy and you're being that way, then it's totally fine. But it's just, it's relabeling it for them and just learning that we all have all of those traits. And, like, in the example of your husband, when you're talking about him, it's interesting because he is so content in being himself, and he's, like, says what he means, and he doesn't, it's like, skirt around the truth or something if it's, like, something that's an awkward subject, which is something I'm not good at. But he doesn't do it in like a mean or like it doesn't make you feel bad ever when you're talking to him. You're comfortable. He feels content in being who he is. So he's figured out how to be who he is, be assertive, but also be sensitive at the same time. And that's just a more well-rounded way to be, to have all of them, kind of all of those characteristics communicating with each other rather than just fostering certain ones of them.
Right. And how refreshing for whoever our kid's future partner will be if they feel that way.
Yeah.
I know in my marriage, it's so refreshing because I don't feel like I have to play this role that is the equal opposite, like because he doesn't, like, check one box, so I have to check the other. It's just that we are 2 whole humans, and we coexist together really well. And I think in teaching our kids to do that, it will be more it will lead them to finding a more healthy way to pick partners in life, or pick who they choose to spend time with in their life.
And like friendships in general. And and we've talked about that too. I think that's probably a whole separate topic, but just learning that it's okay to decide that people that are not helpful in your life are okay to not have in your life, or, you know, just initially choosing people that are, you know, better suited to be in your life and bring out the better sides of you and support the better sides of you than the ones that bring out your anxieties and whatnot. So I mean, that's a very broad topic. If that's something that you've worried about in your own life as well, hopefully this gives you some stuff to think about, and that, you know, we're all just trying to fight the good fight and raise some good humans that are going to go out there and be kind and
Yeah, let your
Be
kid
their authentic self.
rock the mini shirt, or, you know, wear the sparkly shoes, or whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
You know, let your little girl get dirty. Just try it out. See what happens.
I know, and nothing yet. What's going to happen is that they're going to be happy because they're getting to do the thing that makes them their authentic selves, and that's so important in life.
Yeah, I think you did a really nice job of bringing this up, because I think it's such a good reminder to look at our kids and find the thing that brings them joy and builds their character, versus putting them in a situation where they're choosing what they think will make us happy. Yeah. So I think that's a really nice way to kind of button that up.
Yeah. Have them be themselves and just be curious.
Yeah.
See what happens. Watch them unfold. It's great. So
dun, dun,
transitioning from that, crazy check.
Time for a crazy check.
So I just like the intro to the crazy check is we get way too excited.
Getting more intense. You're welcome.
Crazy check. We get stressed out about them. I feel like
I'm just gonna put like air sirens, or what are the
I feel like we should have like a warning sign, because you never know what's gonna come. It's gonna be kind of a funny crazy check, or
it's a mixed bag.
Like, it could be really serious. Sometimes we have really serious ones. I feel like we've been on a funny kick lately with our crazy checks, though, or like semi-funny. Like we still check in. Yeah. But
crazy checks are really indicative of how our lives are going. So
they are.
We'll warn you if it's
they're
like to grab
dark
tissues,
or I know. So how do you feel about karma?
Ooh, okay. I don't know. I feel like when I was younger, I had like a really strong opinion that like, oh, karma's coming for you, blah, blah, blah. And I now am more of like the school of thought that like you sort of get the things in your life that you're putting out in life, more like less like, oh, you're in your next life, you're going to be tortured because you were really mean to this person.
Like,
I need more words.
So it's not. So karma's not like an immediate concern for you.
I mean, I joke. She's finding random things.
There's like a pole on the
pole. Is that your straw?
Oh, it's my straw.
There's this random pole that's next to my glass that is hollow and used for transferring beverages from one place to another.
Usually metal, but we're helping the environment.
Yeah.
So,
I do joke that karma for me is immediate. Like, if I make fun of you for tripping, in the next 2 seconds, I'll be on my ass. Like, on my ass. I mean, it just happened to me the other day with Ryan, so immediately.
It does happen pretty immediately with you. I would vouch for that. Well, the reason I ask is because my crazy check of the other day was that we had a Costco order delivered. My dog has medication that is literally either $20 if you get it from Costco, or $400 if I go through the Walgreens drive-thru. So like,
healthcare's weird.
It's super weird. Well, and it's for my dog, so it's
dog healthcare's weird.
It's not even on health insurance. It's just, oh hey, here's this thing that's 17 times more expensive if you go through this one pharmacy. So, but Costco's great, and they have a great price on it. But we're not going into Costco right now, so we've been utilizing Instacart for it. So I had it delivered the other day, and because of your hacks that you kind of shared with me, I can't, the way that I have to order it, because it links me to it from his text message from his prescription, I can't do it in the Instacart app, so I can't leave the notes for them. Oh. But I did start leaving. What they have to do is they have to scan your license, just because it's a medication, to make sure that it's being delivered to the right human.
And just to clarify, our goal is to like not come in contact with any humans. Like,
any humans ever. Like,
we're trying to be really responsible with the pandemic, and we're scared.
Well, yeah, we're scared, and we don't want it to be part of our life. But also, like, I feel like the person coming to the door is probably pretty happy also if they don't have to interact closely with another human.
100%.
So I'm just trying to like no contact. And I understand, and I'm always so appreciative that they went to the store and got me this medication for me, so that I didn't have to go in as well. So since you kind of said the notes that you leave in the Instacart app, I have since I know they need to scan my license, I tape my license to the door, and then I leave a note thanking them profusely for bringing the medication to my home, because I'm truthfully so grateful for them going in the store and getting it and bringing it to me, and then just letting them know I don't have any questions on it, and if they need to knock, I'm here, I'll open the door and we can socially distance. You can see that I'm here, because they don't need me to sign anything. But the girl that delivered it the other day, she called. I saw her pull up, and she kind of pulled up at the house next to mine. And there was some disconnect between how it links with the medication and the app or something. Because she calls me. Luckily, she saw my phone number on there. She's like, it says 2 different numbers, so I'm not quite sure if I'm in front of the right house. And I was like, yeah, I see you out there. And I go, just so you know, I meant to say we have respiratory issues because your daughter in like our little bubble. We have respiratory issues, so we're just trying to do no contact, which why I feel I have to validate I don't know. I could just say there's a pandemic going on, so we want to do no contact. But for some reason in my mind,
because nobody else is doing
nobody's taking it seriously in our state. It's really, really hard.
We live in Arizona, so the cases are really bad every day.
Really bad.
And we're just trying to do our part, really.
We're trying to do our part. So instead of just being like, hey, we're trying to do no contact, I like panicked because, again, I have this person on the phone that I didn't expect to have on the phone because I thought the address would work out. So I'm like, ugh.
The problems of an introvert. Like, this is something that we deal with.
So I meant to say we have respiratory issues in our family, bubble, whatever. And so we're just trying to no contact. But I said we have immuno issues in our bubble. And I'm like, as soon as I hung up, I was like, God, that was a crappy thing to say. I didn't even mean to say it. But I didn't want to, like, lie to, like, that. I don't want to lie.
I don't want to be more dramatic than I need to be in this story that this person doesn't care about.
She doesn't care about it at all. Because she was just like, yeah, great, no problem. Like, she did not care at all. She was like, I'm just trying to make, she's like, yeah, no problem. I just want to make sure I'm leaving this at the right house. Like, which if she had exited her car, she would have seen my note and stuff, but she was parked outside.
This is just indicative of how thoughtful you are as a human.
I said
like,
this,
you're thinking through this at a minute's notice.
And then she left, and I was like, she like hung up the phone, and I was like, oh, that's not what I meant to say. Like, that's crappy, because some people actually have immuno issues. That's not what I meant to say. I meant to say respiratory because of your daughter. And either way, I didn't need to clarify it. So this results in me, like, this is how I deal with my fear of karma. I was texting my husband. And I was like, because I hadn't started making lunch yet, because I usually make the lunch for, like, everyone in the family, because his meetings always go through lunch, because he works in a job that is completely remote, so there's people all over the world, so the time zones just never work out that he actually gets to take lunch.
Yeah.
So I was, like, texting him, so I was like, hey, the Costco order's here, the dog's barking, like, hang on. And so then I have this conversation with her, and then I text him again, and I was like, I just told her that we have immuno issues in our house instead of respiratory issues, so what do you want for your last lunch? Your last meal.
Wait, so let me get this straight. So you're feeling bad that you said the wrong thing. So you assumed the karma was immediately coming for you. And so you projected that on your husband, like, not you, or, like, not the person who misspoke. Like, you've decided, like, your husband was the weakest link.
I don't know. I was just sick to make myself. I was like, so I told her that. So, like, what do you want for your last meal? Because karma's coming for us. And he's like, he just sends me a meme that's like, well, that escalated quickly. And I was just, like, dying laughing because I was like, I can't be the only person that's just like.
So were you, like, contemplating calling her back and apologizing and then clarifying?
Well, no.
Okay.
No.
I thought that was your crazy check.
I mean, maybe. If I could have, maybe.
She's now thinking about it. I can see her face. You can't see it listening at home, but she is like, oh, that could have been an option, was the face she just made.
I mean, it could have been. And I was like, in the moment, I was like, oh, I can't answer the door and tell her, like, hey, sorry, like, I just made you feel, like, extra. But, like, literally, the funniest part about it is that, like, she was so nonchalant on the phone that I don't even think she cared what I said.
No, because she doesn't care. Yeah. She just wants to get
I just want to drop this off at your house, but I texted my husband and told him I was getting his last meal because Carmen was going to get us.
So let me understand your understanding of karma. I don't know. It's bad. Karma's bad.
I don't even have that deep feelings about karma anyways. Just in that moment, I was just like, I don't know. I just felt bad because I was like, other people have, like, hardships that do fall into that category, and I shouldn't have said that thing.
So then you thought because you said it that it would then happen?
Yes.
But not to you.
No,
Dan.
not necessarily. Just like I said this issue was in our family. So,
but
like,
Dan got
God.
the last meal text. So, again, he was the weakest link. Like,
I mean, probably.
I mean, your kids are too cute to off at, like, due to
karma.
karma.
Oh my God, I wasn't even thinking about them.
Well, I'm just saying, you have a family unit. And then our bubble, which is also
I know. I almost texted you, but I was making lunch. So I was like,
so it was only funny karma for Dan.
No, I almost texted you, like, legit crazy check. Am I a horrible, horrible person for just having said this? Because I didn't mean to, because of anxiety. So I was like, I didn't mean to say it this way. I really didn't. It just came out that way.
Well,
but,
and then
I would have felt worse if I, like, intentionally said it, but I said the wrong word. But
can you imagine lying about your, like?
No, because that would be horrible.
Crazy.
That'd be horrible. So I didn't. But I felt like the horribleness of it just because I misspoke. And then I decided to not crazy check you because I was like, no, like, you just misspoke. But I also felt the need to.
I
felt the need to funny crazy check my husband.
I would have made fun of you for, like, multiple days in a row because, like, if you had crazy checked me, I would have sent you lots and lots of memes about like us all slowly die or something.
Thanks, friend. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
the support.
Well, because of all the things, I thought you were going to say, like, I was really rude to this person by accident because I was having a bad day, like, and so I'm worried that karma's coming to get me, but, like, that's not how karma...
I did yell at an old lady in Costco one time because I was having a bad day.
Okay.
But she was being really
like,
mean.
Okay, I'm picturing, like, the old sample lady.
No.
Like,
No, she,
it's like a new drinking game. How many times does
No.
Caroline's daughter puke in an episode? How many times do we talk about
it was
Costco?
because, like, I had both of my kids, and it was very, very, very stressful because this is the first time I tried to take them both to Costco, and there's just a lot of chaos happening. And she, like, I forget what she even did.
You're like, listen, Grandma, get out of the way.
No, she was, like, real. I think I, like, went out into the aisle, and I didn't let her go first, and she got really mad about it.
Mm.
Like, she said something. I can't even remember what she said.
She was salty.
She was very salty about it. And I was like, sorry, I have a lot going on here. And I just, like, ran around her and with my little cart. Because, like, there was literally, like, I had, like, one kid strapped to me, one kid, like, in the cart. And they're both, like, reaching everywhere. And I'm, like, sweating profusely. And I'm like, who looks at that when you're just, like, one single human in Costco, like, nicely walking around to just be like, oh, you didn't let me out. Like, I'm not paying attention to you. I'm trying to make sure that nobody is eating anything or licking the cart. Like, that is my number one goal right now.
Do you think karma got her?
I don't know. But even in that scenario, I was like, God, I shouldn't have been so mean to her. Like, I should have just, like, because it wasn't about her. I was frustrated with the situation, and then she was mean to me in that moment. But, like, I also fully believe we control our own responses and, like, don't need to respond with unkindness.
Right. But also, I feel like you're being very, very hard on yourself in all scenarios.
Well, I moved on from that one pretty quickly because I feel like she provoked me. But
you're like, she deserved it. I still feel bad, but she deserved it.
well, she provoked the situation.
Yeah.
For sure.
I hear you.
We were both mean. Not that cancels it out, but
But what do you think karma is?
I don't know.
Okay, because I think maybe I'm wrong. I don't
know.
No,
I just feel like we kind of like it's like the broader topic of what you said. Like and this is kind of just a funny example because I don't actually think something horrible is going to befall our family because of that. But
I'm really glad Dan's going to make it.
It just it kind of brought me to the topic of just the things we put out in the world come back to us, and just kind of like the whole topic of even like talking about like overgendering or like we're just letting people be who they are in the world, and not what you put out there is your authentic self, and trying to have that be a kind. I didn't think it was gonna get him specifically. You
asked him what he wanted for his last meal. I mean, that's pretty specific.
Okay. Well, anyways.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you're crazy. Oh, maybe a little, but like in the best way.
I think that you do.
I mean, I do, but like that's why we're friends.
Yeah, we're losing it a little bit at a time. We're a fun group.
We're a fun group of two.
We're a fun group. We're a fun duo. We went to college. Leave us alone.
That was something my grandmother used to say, where she'd be like, she went to college. Like,
you said that to your husband today in that tone. You always say it like, I went to college.
Yeah, I went to college. Like, you have to say it in the Jersey like accent.
Mm-hmm.
But
you went to college.
Yeah. She went to college.
So, on that note, go find us on our Instagram, the Whining Moms Podcast.
Check us out with new episodes every Wednesday. And we'll see you Wednesday.
We'll see you Wednesday.
Bye.